Meeting recording has started.
And I will share my screen. As again, I will try to share my screen.
Melanie, or am I to mute all participants?
Um, you could, just so there's no background noise.
Got you.
All participants have been muted. All participants have been muted.
Nikki, Melanie is going to have to unmute herself when she
Right.
begins
I
the
was looking at
presentation.
that. And I promoted her to be the panelist.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was muted this whole time.
Oh, okay. And
Okay,
I didn't want to say anything because I thought you knew.
okay, let's try this again. Um, all right. So this is for the pre-bid meeting for IFB 2024-04-1941-MH, the police bundle project. Um, introdu- Introductions. I am Melanie Hack. I'm the senior procurement contract administrator. Who is the designated point of contact for this IFB. We have Kevin Underwood. He's a St. Louis County project manager. We have the Navigate team, who are the county's technical representative. We have Gemma Architects, their design lead team. We have Jansen Thomas with Prevailing Wage Enforcement. And we have Nikki Dawson with the MWBE program. She's Diversity Contract Compliance Specialist. Now, for everyone else on the call, it's your turn. If you could please put into chat what company you're with, if you're a prime or sub, if you have a specialty, any contact information, anything you are willing to share. I hope to get all that together and put it out in an addendum so everybody can contact everybody else. And then the
Colette and everyone, sorry, we had a separate link from the meeting that's on our calendar, so we're sending the link to Nate and Terrell and some other folks. They should be hopping over here shortly.
okay. The bid documents, you can get them from vendor self-service, or you can also get them from um, St. Louis County Plan Room. Um, the website is on in the IFB and on the screen, and the email address as well if you have any problems. Um, the drawings that are on the vendor self-service website, the county website, I think they're too large, so they will give you an error if you try to get them. So they will have to be, you'll have to go through St. Louis County Plan Room to get those.
Melanie, I'm not sure we're seeing your screen if we're supposed to,
Oh, you can't see the screen?
or at least I'm not. Is anyone else able to see the slideshow?
No, I don't.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Try this again.
For those of you that have just joined us, can you enter your name and what firm you are with in the chat, please?
We see
Okay,
it now,
can every-
Melanie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the website is there for St. Louis County Plan Room, their email if there's any problems. Just make sure you get those designs from that website. And then important solicitation dates. Deadline for questions and comments is April 17th at 11 a.m. This is not a hard stop. However, don't wait too long. This is just the date that we guarantee that we can get an addendum out to you and before the bid is due. So while it's not a hard stop, please don't wait too much past that, especially if you have a substitution request or anything that may take us longer to get back to you. The bid due date and time is April 30th at 2 p.m. That is a hard stop. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That can't be changed. Please try to submit your bids earlier in that day. I know everyone tends to like to wait towards the last minute, but then we get too close and we can't get stuff if you're having technical issues, and then it doesn't count. So please, please, please do it early that day or
Excuse me,
before.
Melanie.
Yes,
We're not looking at the presentation mode. Do you have it in presentation mode and we're just missing it?
I do.
Okay, so it's just showing us
Slide 3.
yeah, we're just on 3. That's it.
I don't know. You're not on this. It doesn't say the important solicitation dates slide.
No.
Okay, let me see here.
There we go. We can see it now.
Okay. Can you still see it if I went to full screen? Is it on slide 4 now?
It is on slide 4, Melanie, but it looks like your presentation mode isn't catching up to probably what you've done. So you'll just have to click through the slides. So you'll just have to click on number 5 to move on. It's just not, it's not presenting to us. Sorry, guys, for the technical issues. Sometimes it's not our friend. So thanks for your patience. But yeah, if you want to go back into the best thing we might want to do is just to go back into the other mode and just click through the slides like normal. Yep. Like your mouse is moving now, and then click to
Okay,
number
we'll try that. Hopefully that'll work.
5. Okay, sorry about that.
No, thanks for letting me know. Okay. Um, so again, please submit early. Because once 2 p.m. hits, I can't help you anymore. So please, please, please make sure you submit early. If you have any problems before that, email me. Um, we don't want you to miss getting what you need in. The cone of silence is in effect until a contract is fully executed. Um, there's should be no communication with anyone except for me as a designated point of contact. Um, I do request that you email any questions or comments to me. My email is in the IFB and it's also up here. Um, if you call me, I'm not going to be able to help anyway, because all questions have to go out in an addendum, so it's fair for everybody to get at the same time. So please make sure you email, and that way I will also not um, misunderstand something that you say, because some of the technical is not my specialty. So if you email me, I will definitely get it to the proper people. And that's regardless of if it's for the architect, for the MWBE, prevailing wage, anybody. So please send those to me and I will definitely get those to the appropriate people. Um, and then just a reminder for today's discussion, no nothing that's said here will change the terms of the solicitation. That can only be done via an addendum. Um, and also, as I said before, make sure to please submit everything via email so we can get a proper response out to you. And then speaking of addenda, please check often. There is one currently out already. Um, and a reminder, if you have submitted a substitution request, please resubmit it with the form that was put out in with addendum 1, so we can review those properly. And then here's a list of everything that needs to be submitted with your bid. Just a few notes on a few things. The bid form, it has been revised already. The new one is out with addendum 1. And that form does calculate for you. So when you put in your lump sum bid, it will take into account the allowances that are already there and give you a total. And that's the total that you enter into vendor self-service. And then as far as the vendor background information form and references, and then the vendor information form, those names are similar, but they are 2 separate forms that serve 2 separate purposes. So please make sure you get both of those to us. The vendor background information form and references also has additional questions um, on there besides filling out the form. Um, the MWBE certification, Nikki will go over this in more detail, but it has to be Missouri Department of Transportation or Lambert Airport. Please make sure you get all of your MWBE forms in, such as the utilization plan and the notices of intent, because if they're not in, they won't count. And again, Nikki will go over that in more detail. I think that's about it as far as the forms. And then with that, I will pass it on to, is John from Gemma here?
I am here.
Yes.
Okay, it's all yours. Oops,
Hey,
sorry.
Melanie, I'm wondering if I can grab the screen real quick. Is that possible?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you should be able to.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks, Melanie. My name is John Emmert. I'm with Gemma Architects. I'm one of the project managers on this project. So I know a lot of you were probably at the outreach meeting and got kind of a similar overview of the project. But today we just wanted to cover kind of high level important details of the project. It is a single general contractor bid package, so everything falls under the general contractor. You'll see there's scopes in here, including furniture, signage, so it's an all-in single general contractor bid package. This is a combined facility. Police intelligence, precinct, and property control are the three main components of the building that all fall under this one roof. 49,300 square foot, 2-story building, and all the associated site work with that. So this is in the upper right, you're seeing an aerial of the existing site. So this is Lindbergh running plan north-south, Dorset, 80 Road, and Schaefer. So this entire wedge of property right now is county owned. And part of the process we're going through right now is consolidating all of these lots into one. So this is all currently county property. The highlighted yellow area is the extent of our site work. There is a little bit of sewer work that branches off of this, kind of outside of that yellow area. But for the most part, all of our site work is within that highlighted area. You're looking at an existing survey of the site. You'll notice that there's some existing curb cuts off of Schaefer Road, and an existing fueling station, as well as some other county structures. Those all stay in place as part of this project. So our site work goes around this existing fueling station. There is some rework of these curb cuts, extends back to Plan North in this direction, and then a new curb cut off of Schaefer Road. You'll see there's quite a bit of topography. This is the high point of the site, down to the low point as you get towards Dorset. So this building is built into the hillside. So you'll see in the site plan that there is an upper level public entry here. And then as the site goes down towards Dorset, there's a lower level entry on the back side of the building here. Just to orientate everybody again, this is Schaefer Road. This is the existing fueling station that stays in place with some rework of this curb cut. Off of Schaefer Road, we come into a public parking area and public entry. All of this area to the left around the back of the building and then back up to this upper lot is all enclosed by a secure fence. So we have 2 secure gate entry points into these lots. As we head down towards the side of the building, on this side we have a generator, 100% backup generator, trash area, large property storage. You'll see that's in an enclosure, a roofed in large property evidence storage area. We do have some loading dock spaces on the back side of the building, so that accesses property control and a garage for Intel. Some additional parking, as I mentioned earlier, lower level secure entry into the facility. You'll see on Plan North, this is, you're seeing kind of half of what is the detention pond. We are into MSD. We do have a majority of those approvals. We're waiting on final approval from MSD on their scope, on their plan review. And then again, this fence rings the entire property back up to this secure gate into this secure parking area. Looking at the floor plans of the building, this is the lower level floor plan. So a lot of this is embedded into that hillside. You'll see by this large concrete, what's acting as a retaining wall on the back side of the building. So this is all concrete cast in place structure. And then we have the exposed facade on the back side of the building. This is the generator enclosure here, trash, and then this is that property large property evidence storage area that I mentioned earlier. Much of the lower level is for property control evidence storage. So it's large open spaces with shelving. This is all fixed shelving, different configurations. We do have the building mechanical spaces on the lower level you're seeing here in the gray. We do have open office area for property control, break areas, some additional small evidence storage areas, evidence processing areas off of a secure lobby. We do have a small component of the intelligence portion on this lower level as well. This is that garage, lower level Intel garage entry. And then this was that lower level garage entry for property control. We do have a large locker facility, men's and women's lockers, and a fitness room on the lower level as well. Heading up to the upper level, again, this is that upper level public entry. This light purple area is the public component of the facility with a community room, some restrooms, property retrieval room, and a security desk. Everything to the left of that area, some of you may be familiar with the precinct prototypes, recently completed precinct 3 project. This in floor plan is very similar to what we've done on other precincts for the county. Everything to the plan right of this secure lobby space is the intelligence wing. So this consists of a large open fusion space, a RIC, which is a real-time intelligence information center, and an intelligence open office area. These spaces are surrounded by private office spaces and some workshops. There is a large conference room in the center of the space and a large collaboration work break area flanking the fusion and the RIC areas. These are some renderings of the new facility. You'll see that it's 2 types of a brick masonry cladding, as well as some copper colored metal panel, storefront, and curtain wall. So that consists of the exterior cladding materials of the building. You can see here how we have upper level main entry into this lobby space, single story from Schaefer, but then as you go to the backside, as the topography drops off to the plan north, you'll see that it exposes this 2-level structure on the backside. This lower right is an image of that main entry space on that upper level. These images give you an idea of the look and feel of the interior of the space. This is upper left image is of the secure lobby. So we do have ballistic panels and ballistic glazing within that secure public lobby space. The image to the upper right is of the precinct roll call area. You'll see we have some ceiling features, some graphic wall coverings in that space. The lower left gives you an idea of what some of the fusion and RIC spaces would look like. Pretty heavy AV technology in those spaces, some unique lighting in those spaces as well, and some unique furniture solutions. And then this lower right image shows you that collaborative breakout area with that large conference space beyond in the intelligence wing of the center. So that gives you an idea of the kind of the overall look and feel of the space and the scope of work from an architectural standpoint. So I'm going to turn it back over to, I think Colette is taking it from here.
Yeah, Melanie, are you able to take the slides back over and advance to the next slide?
I can. Let me get to the right one. Okay, can you see that?
Yep, thank you. So schedule, as you know, your bids are due April 30th. The county plans to select and award a contractor during the month of May and issue a notice to proceed so that you can mobilize June 3rd, get started on site work. Couple other milestone dates are that submittals All submittals are due within 120 calendar days after notice to proceed. And then subcontracts, this is relative to the MWBE program, but subcontracts are due to be uploaded into the B2G program 30 days after contract execution. And then substantial completion May 1st of 2026. And that includes everything. There's no weather delay, no clauses to allow you to claim weather delays. You need to plan on those or account for those in your schedule. One thing we didn't point out on the slide, but just to give you an idea scope wise, is we're estimating the bids to be about 38 million, just to help you understand the size of this project. There are liquidated damages associated with the project, and that's primarily because, I mean, there always are, but this project has no flex in time. That May 1st date is an absolute. So some of the liquidated damages associated with the project, there's some on submittals. If you don't meet that 120 calendar day milestone, you start to accrue $500 per day of liquidated damages. Additionally, the subcontracts uploaded into B2G, there's also $500 a day if that's not met. And then your substantial completion, there is liquidated damages associated with substantial completion. This is relative to some funding time limits on the project. So if you do not achieve substantial completion by May 1st, liquidated damages will be assessed at 50% of the value of the remaining work that's not done on May 1st. So that just speaks to how important it is to be substantially complete by May 1st. So I'm ready for the next slide, if you can advance. So in the bid, there's going to be some allowances. You'll see them on the bid form. They're already in there so that, as Melanie indicated, they will auto-populate your total bid after you put in your value of your other scope. One of those allowances in particular that I want to touch on is the allowance for permits and fees and deposits. What that's meant to cover is the building permit. We will have the contractor pay for that, fire permit, and any utility connection costs, like permanent utility connection costs. So if there's a fee from MSD or a fee from the water company, you would present that invoice to the owner, and the owner would say, yes, pay that out of the allowance. It's not intended to be for any temporary utilities or any additional work you need to do for anything caused by your own work. So it's just for those allowances. If there's a deposit required for, and I don't believe we know of any right now, but some utilities or the permitting authority may require like an escrow deposit. You would get permission from the owner to pay for that out of this allowance. And you can see the full list of allowances in the bid documents. Alternates, there's several bid alternates. They're pretty cut and dry. Several of them have to do with some FF&E like furniture. There's a tier 1, buy all of this furniture. There's a tier 2 for some additional furniture. There's a few others in there. Again, they're pretty cut and dry. If you have any questions about them, do submit an RFI. And then there is a sheet of unit pricing. Most of it applies to site work. So if there's any unforeseen conditions beyond what's described to be included in the base bid, we would use unit prices to adjust your contract value accordingly. We're going to also possibly add a few other unit prices for the drilled piers. This building is on piers, and possibly for moisture mitigation under flooring if it's needed. That is all I have, I believe. I think the next slide moves on to Nikki or Jansen. Jansen. Thank you.
Good morning. Annual wage order number 30 has been assigned to this project. You can use the wage determination to calculate the minimum labor costs. St. Louis County wants you to have a successful bid. So my recommendation for labor compliance is to check 3 things. One is that your subcontractors will pay the state prevailing wage. if you have information or disclosure from a subcontractor that they will not be paying prevailing wage, exclude them from your bid, and they will not be working on this project. 2, LCP Tracker is required to electronically validate the weekly certified payroll reports. So if you have a subcontractor that does not have the capacity or is unable to use LCP Tracker Pro, St. Louis County does not provide a waiver for the use of LCP Tracker. It is a requirement. So if you have a subcontractor that is not able or is unwilling to use LCP Tracker, which is an electronic certified weekly payroll, paper submittals of a weekly payroll is not allowed. So again, number 2, if a subcontractor is not able to use LCP Tracker, they should not be included in your bid. 3, St. Louis County has an apprenticeship requirement, which is at the time of bidding, at the time that you bid, all subcontractors, the prime and all subcontractors are required to participate and be participating in a federally registered apprenticeship program. And that apprenticeship program must have active apprentices. So again, if you have a subcontractor that is at the time of bidding is not participating in a federally registered apprenticeship program, they should not be included in your bid and they should not be working on this project. So check all 3 of those items to ensure labor compliance. If you have any questions on the state prevailing wage, the county's apprenticeship requirement, or any other labor compliance question, please submit your questions in writing to Melanie Hack, and Melanie will be able to reply with guidance in an addendum. With that, that's all I have on labor compliance and prevailing wage. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to get started with Nikki's going to go, but before she goes, I just want to say for those who came in late, please make sure you put your information in the chat, your company name, contact information, anything to where people can get in contact with you. And then
Melanie, this is Nate. Before we get started with Nikki, I want to try and do something that so we can know who's who, and I don't know as it relates to the prime contractors. And I see on my list, I see Tom Wright. So Tom, can you start off and on the list as you see them, go down and introduce yourselves if you're a prime contractor only. We're not going to go through everyone, but we want people to know who the primes are on the job so far, who's on this list.
Yes, as Nate said, I'm Tom Wright with Road Construction.
Eric Davis with Tarleton.
Rick Coons with TW Constructors.
I'm Klingler with ACS Construction Services.
Brian Court Jr. with Russell Construction.
Okay. Well, so that looks like what, 5 so far? 4?
5.
Yeah, 5.
Good. Okay. All right. So now we know who they are. Nikki, go ahead.
Nikki, we can't hear you
Can't
if
hear
you're
you.
talking. If you're talking, we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize. Okay, I'll just reintroduce myself. My name is Nikki Dawson, and as Melanie stated earlier, I am the assigned contract compliance specialist for this particular project. And I just wanted to start off talking to you all about the goals for this particular project. In the past, St. Louis County government had a static goal of 24% for MBE and 9.5 for WBE. If your utilization plan reflected a percentage that was greater and you happen to fall short upon the close of the project, but still met the static goal, it was fine. Since then, the ordinance has changed to note that the MWBE program will establish personalized goals for each specific project. For this particular project, as you've seen before, it's been established at 27.4 for MBE and 15% for WBE. When your bid is submitted, the utilization plan must reflect those specific goals and result in that upon the end of the project. What if your utilization plan does not meet those goals? Well, that's where good faith efforts come into play. This is the good faith efforts report document that you should submit with your bid. Page 1 of the reporting form answers all, you'll just answer the questions. You're enter the applicable information. Some of the agencies that you can contact as within the last 3 sales on here can be like MOCAN, the AGC. These are just suggestions or site. That's just to name a few. You should be documenting all this data on these forms. If you're conducting these tasks, how are we to know if you don't include it with your bid? We'll never know because we will not call you. You need to, you don't get another opportunity to bite at the apple. This is your chance to show us how you've tried your best to meet the goal. On page 2, you'll see where you'll enter the firms that you reached out to for bids, but it did not work out for your project, such as their bid was too high or something of that nature. All the supporting documents should be included with the bid. For example, say for instance, you email Piper Plumbing an email requesting the bid for the line items and his bid was too high because Johnny Plumbing's bid was lower. Piper Plumbing provided you with a bid. That is supporting documentation that you've reached out to him. The email you sent, his reply, and the documentation to support your good faith efforts. The activity of sending email blasts is just not sufficient efforts. Some examples of good faith efforts could be advertising in minority-focused media trade association or trade-related publication. Physically calling subcontractors during typical hours that they may be available. Did you leave a voicemail? I apologize. Excuse me. Did you leave a voicemail? Did you follow up with that voicemail? Let's see. Sometimes emails go to spam folders. How about identifying items of work that certified firms may find economically feasible to perform? When you negotiate, did you negotiate in good faith, such as like you're not requesting that the certified firm lower their prices lower than the standard industry amount? Did you go further to offer assistance to connect them with someone that could provide them with bonding, financing, insurance, should they lack that? If you conducted any of these actions, there should be supportive documentation. To be clear, completing this is not absolutely required, but is strongly suggested since oftentimes prime contractors miscalculated percentages and end up not meeting the goal. It is important to note that good faith efforts is expected throughout the life of the project. At the end of the project, if participation does not result in the established goals being fulfilled, liquidated damages may apply, especially good faith effort documentation is not provided. Let's talk about race neutral. This applies, let me give you an example. If you're, for this project. If your firm obtained 20% for WBE participation, you're still required to meet the 27.4 MBE goal, because that 5% that you went over for the WBE participation, that's considered race neutral. It will not count towards the MBE participation. Now let's talk about certification. As Melanie stated earlier, there are only 2 different directories that we accept certification from. They're listed here on the screen. This is the hyperlink. It's also included in the bid. There are other agencies out there. We do not accept those other certifications, only the 2 that are on the screen. I strongly suggest that you check for yourself. You don't go by what the individuals state to you. You don't go by what everybody else thinks. For yourself, so that you can ensure that they are certified. And while you're looking, ensure that they have the corresponding next codes for the work that you want them to do for your project. If you select a certified firm to conduct the scope of work and they do not have the corresponding next codes, we will discover that during the evaluation, and you will not be able to use that figure towards the goal, and thereby your utilization plan will have a miscalculation there. Such as, you wouldn't want to have a bricklayer conducting plumbing work. Can they do the work? Yeah, they probably can, but you will not receive participation credit for that. Here's a screenshot right here of the Lambert Airport City of St. Louis directory. And as you see, you can enter different descriptions right here in the business description line. For this example, I enter site preparation, which is a general term. And this right here is the results of when I entered site preparation. You'll see the business description there at the top, and this page right here is the results of that. That's just for the City of St. Louis directory, where we accept certification for. Next, we're going to talk about the other requirement with your bid, the notice of intent to perform as subcontractor in our material supplier. This is required for all subcontractors, trucking firms, suppliers, regardless of their tier and regardless of certification. If they are a part of the project, ensure that there is a completed and signed form by that subcontractor or trucking firm supplier. Also complete one for a manufacturer if you're utilizing them to count towards your participation. Make sure that the form is completed and signed by the subcontractor and not the prime contractor, such as they should not be signing a blank form. This problem comes up when the good faith efforts is being evaluated and the subcontractor is clueless as to what was entered on this form. Make sure the description is complete, such as the description matches a line item within the bid. We should be able to distinguish the work from one subcontractor to another, especially if they're doing similar work. For example, even though I use for the illustration, site preparation, when you're completing this form, you want to be more specific, like enter terms like grading, excavating, landscaping, clearing, flat work, etc. You know, you get the point on that. This is the contractor utilization plan. Just like the notice of intent form, everyone that you completed a form for, you will also include on here. As you will note, we added a new column for email. We would like for you to complete every applicable space for each subcontractor. Starting, the first line should be the prime contractor. You'll put your dollar work and information on the first line, and then all subcontractors, trucking firms and suppliers, you know, all of that. All of the active participants. Active participants, if you had Lowe's delivering nails to the project site, you wouldn't put that on there. Again, you will include the manufacturer if you're seeking gold credit on the spreadsheet as well. Just because, I want to take out some time to talk about, just because you can self-perform a scope of work, you should consider to subcontract because it will increase your participation. Let's see. During the good faith efforts evaluation, our process, the group reaches out to these firms requesting a copy of their bids and quotes that was provided to the prime contractor. I have a couple slides right here afterwards that's discussing the difference between the 100%, 60% when it's manufacturers versus the dealers. So in this case, you see this is when 100% is counted for materials or supplies. Second one is when it's 60%, when it's from a dealer. And then this is in the case where only fees and commissions is counted.
Excuse me, Nikki. I
Yes.
don't know if anyone else. I didn't see those last two. I don't know if anyone else saw them. Or maybe I just missed them.
This was the first one, the 100%.
Stop
Do you
sharing
see
it.
that, Nate?
I don't. I see
You
you.
don't?
No, I see you. I see you. That's it. But if everyone else sees them, I'm good with it. I just
No,
Do anybody else see it?
I don't see them either.
Okay.
No, here either.
Okay. Let's see what happened. I apologize. Thank you for. I do. I see that it went off and it says stop sharing, but I'm okay. I'll stop and restart it. How about that? Don't know what happened, but I will definitely fix it.
Looks like it's coming back. Not there yet, but it looks like it's trying.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what just happened. Maybe I'll just.
It's
I
just a
apologize.
blank
I have no
screen.
slides, but it's black and I don't know. I'll stop it one more time. And after that, I'll just freestyle. How about that?
Good for us.
Utilize.
Nikki, you could also try sometimes if you turn off your video and then you could still share that way. Sometimes it.
Oh, okay. How about that?
There you go.
Okay. Back up. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nate, for bringing that to my attention. I apologize, everyone. And here it is, the slide where I'm discussing where the 100% of materials and supplies are counted towards the goal. Second one is where 60% of the materials and supplies is counted towards the MWBE goals when it comes from an actual dealer instead. And then this is the case where only fees and commissions is counted towards the MWBE goals. Now let's go back over it real quick. What is due? The utilization plan completed. The notice of intent forms for all subcontractors, suppliers, trucking firms. They're considered the active participants of this project. Make sure that the notice of intent is detailed. Remember the example I gave you. Signed, completed and signed. I didn't have this on here, but completed and signed by the subcontractor. Trucking firm, supplier, all of it. Okay, checklist. Is the good faith efforts report required? No, but it's strongly suggested. That will be pages 1 and 2 and all the supporting documents. As the young people say, I came with my receipts. These are the documents to show that you actually did the work. When the bid is submitted, that is when it's due. Not the next morning, not 5 days later, not when we call you, but when the bid is submitted. This is when you are to submit all of these documents.
That's pretty tough to do, Nikki, considering all the subs and vendors.
I know it's challenging, and that's why.
Who am I speaking? Who said that?
Nate, that was Rick Coons with TW Constructors. I've seen this in the past. It's very difficult to get all the documentation from subs and suppliers and submit it on bid day at the same time as your bid's going in.
Well, Rick, I beg to differ. We just got finished with a precinct. It was done on bid day. And other agencies that I know of have way more than a $30 million job. They turn it all in on bid day. It's not impossible. You have to be meticulous about it. You have to be very intentional about it. And you have to start early. You have 30 days. There are most, the concrete flat work's not going to change. The landscape is not going to change. Electrical might have some challenges. Steel might have some challenges. But everything else, painting is not going to change. Wall covering is not going to change. Drywall, framing, it's not going to change. We just have to start early. The job's on a very tight schedule, and we just have to start early doing it. Some contractors already soliciting bids from subs already. Plans came out on the 5th, I believe, 8th, on the 8th of they're already soliciting bids. You can be done. You just got to be intentional about it.
Yes,
I
I
want
have
to.
submitted my ITB, Nate, and it does, when you come down to bid day, you're not going to get everybody ahead of time until that bid day. So it gets a bit challenging.
I wouldn't doubt that, Mr. Coons. I really don't. I do think it might be challenging, but again, it can be done because it's already been done, and it's been done every 9 weeks on IDOT lettings. They drop all this stuff in there, bam, get it done. Yeah, you'll make it. Just give us your good old college try. I believe you'll do it.
I want to stress that more is better than less when it comes to good faith efforts, to support your good faith efforts, but real efforts, not a lot of fluff, such as documentation to make it seem like you did more than you actually did. The evaluators will be able to see through the fluff. Your responsibility is to paint us a clear picture where we do not have any doubts that you conducted good faith efforts to meet the goal should you fall short. If it was me and I wanted to bid, there's no way I would either not meet the goal or show my work to demonstrate I sure enough tried. I would go as far as preparing a narrative, include all my supporting documents. This is a very serious matter for the county, and I cannot stress how important it is to demonstrate your good faith efforts. Also, I wanted to inform you all, if you left me a voicemail or you send me an email specifically in reference to this project, while the cone of silence has been triggered, which began Monday of last week, I'm not being rude. I'm just complying with the ordinance, but I will forward your voicemail and your email to Melanie Hack, as she is the only contact person, as she mentioned earlier. Even if it's questions in reference to the MWBE goal participation, I will forward all that information to her. Ms. Hack will reach out to your group and conduct the exchange of information. More than likely, she will be providing an addendum to answer your question, because chances are you are not the only contractor that has that same question. We will not state in the addendum that X name contractor asked this question, and therefore we're creating this addendum to address their question. So thank you, Mr. Coons, for speaking up, but we really want you all to ask all your questions and clear up any misunderstandings right now, if possible.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you all for your time. And I do understand the challenges, I imagine, but like Nate stated, it's definitely possible, although it's challenging.
This is
I'll
Don
stop
Klinger
sharing for now.
This is Don Klingler with ICS Construction Services. The bid date going to be held at April 30th.
Yes, there's no flexibility in that, just given the schedule for the project.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for any of us?
I think a good place to start for those who may be thinking that they have issues with subcontractors is, take this list. There are some subcontractors on this call, and that could be your first step. So they're here, they're informed, and that would be a good starting point for relationship building. So I just wanted to throw that out there because there are some subcontractors on the call. I know we identified the primes, but there are some subs on this call. So that might be a great place to start. That's just a suggestion. And like we stress, relationship building is really super important. So that's all the comments I have.
Awesome.
Any other comments, questions from any primes or subs? Don't forget to unmute yourself if you're muted. No? Okay. Anyone have any from anyone, county team, Navigate, or Gemma have any final thoughts or any final comments?
Again, this is Nate. I just want to employ everyone to really get active, and like Gina said, to just start building relationships. Most of us, the primes, have already should have some relationships going. So just do your best at what you can do, and let the chips fall where they may. But it has to be turned in on time with your bid, and I think it can be done. I really do.
I'll speak
That's all I have.
briefly. Oh, I'll speak briefly to addenda. Melanie here, your point of contact, is very prompt on issuing addenda so that she's not holding back any bid questions. She doesn't tend to hold them all and group them all together in like a once a week bid. Melanie gets addendum out often, but they're manageable. They're a couple items in the addendum, and then I think there will be the design team. On the flip side, rather than issuing a new set of drawings every couple days, they're going to capture theirs in an addendum next week. Like drawing revisions and spec revisions. And Melanie, if they're a plan holder with Crossroads, they automatically get notified of the addendum. Does your site also keep track of who is downloaded and send notification?
No, we send notification out to anyone who has commodity codes that match what's on the bid, or if they've signed up for the bid. However, our notifications don't always work as they should, so we still recommend checking the site just to make sure that there's nothing new there.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay.
It's a pretty cool project, everybody. It's pretty unique. We encourage you to really get into get into the drawings and the documents, so it's not so overwhelming and daunting, and really give it some good consideration for the opportunity to be involved in a facility like this.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
If you have any questions, comments, please send those to me and I will get them to the appropriate people.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.